The wind screamed across the frozen colony. The sky was gray like old metal, and the ground was nothing but ice and broken concrete. People moved through the streets like ghosts wrapped in rags, holding onto their ration cards as if they were gold. Every card meant food, warmth, or one more day to live. Jared Hale stood in the long ration line, his coat torn at the sleeves, his breath turning to ice in the air. His stomach growled, but he ignored it. Hunger was normal now. Everyone was hungry. Everyone was cold. He looked down at the small metal card in his hand, his last ration card. After today, there would be nothing left. No more food credits. No more trade. He could try to work, but work was hard to find, and the pay was smaller every month. A soldier passed by, shouting, "No aliens allowed near the supply post. Anyone caught helping them will be punished." The people in line didn't look up. They had all heard it before. Then Jared saw her. At first, he thought she was a statue. She was sitting beside the road, half buried in snow, her body shaking. Her skin had a pale blue glow, faint but real. Her hair, long and silver, was frozen stiff. Her eyes opened slowly when she heard footsteps, glowing soft like distant stars. She wasn't human. She was Thalen, one of the alien refugees from the war. Most of them were gone now. Some died, others captured. But she was still here, barely alive. Jared looked at the ration card again. He thought of the warmth it could buy. A small heater cell, maybe a meal. It could mean one more day for him. He looked at the alien woman again. She had no coat, no shoes, just a torn cloth around her shoulders. The wind cut through her thin body like knives. People walked past her, not even looking. One man kicked snow in her direction. A woman pulled her child away. Jared's jaw tightened. Something inside him refused to walk away. He stepped out of line. "Hey!" Someone shouted behind him. "Where are you going?" "The supply drone's almost here." Jared didn't answer. He walked to the nearest vendor stall. The merchant looked up with tired eyes. "Ration card or nothing," the man grunted. Jared placed his card on the table. "Clothes," he said. "Warm ones." The merchant raised an eyebrow. "You can get food for that card, not old cloth." "Clothes," Jared repeated. His voice was low, but there was steel in it. The merchant shrugged and handed him a bundle. An old coat, a blanket, and a pair of thermal gloves. Jared took them and walked toward the alien woman. She looked up, confused, as he kneeled beside her. Her lips were blue. Her voice was only a whisper. "Why, are you helping me?" "Because no one else will," Jared said simply. He wrapped the coat around her shoulders, careful not to hurt her. Her skin was cold, colder than the snow. The moment his hands touched her, she gasped softly, like her body was remembering how to breathe. A small glow flickered under her skin, spreading slowly through her veins. Jared helped her stand. She was light, too light, like she hadn't eaten in days. A siren wailed nearby. A red light flashed on a tall post. A voice echoed through the speakers. "Warning. Unauthorized interaction detected. Human subject number 2294. Surrender immediately." Jared froze. A drone descended from the sky, shining a bright beam on him. The mechanical voice continued. "Harboring alien life is a criminal act. Drop your items and step away." The alien woman tried to move, but her legs gave out. Jared caught her before she fell. He looked at the drone, then at her. Something inside him made a choice before his brain did. He whispered, "Come home with me." He pulled her hood up, hiding her face, and started walking fast through the narrow alleys. The drone followed, its red light sweeping the snow. He turned into an old tunnel entrance, half collapsed, full of shadows. The drone's light passed over the opening but didn't stop. After a moment, the sound faded away. Jared leaned against the wall, breathing hard. The woman shivered in his arms, her eyes half open. "You risked your life," she whispered. He gave a tired smile. "Guess I'm bad at following orders." She tried to smile back, but her lips trembled too much. He pulled the blanket tighter around her and said quietly, "You'll be safe for now. I know a place." He lifted her up, her light body against his chest, and walked deeper into the dark tunnel. The snowstorm outside howled louder, covering their footprints. Above the city, the patrol drones searched the streets, scanning for heat signs. The loudspeakers repeated the same warning again and again. Harboring alien refugees is punishable by death. But Jared Hale didn't stop. He kept walking until the cold air turned into silence. Somewhere in the dark, The alien woman whispered one last word before she fell asleep. Why? Jared looked down at her peaceful face and whispered back, because you deserve to live. And for the first time in years, his heart felt warm. The storm howled above the tunnels as Jared Hale carried the alien woman deeper into the ruins. His boots crunched over frozen dust and his breath came out in short white clouds. The tunnel was part of an old military outpost long forgotten by the colony. The walls were cracked, the metal doors rusted, but it was still dry and out of sight. He reached a large steel door and pushed it open with effort. The hinges screamed, echoing down the corridor. Inside, the air was still. It smelled of dust, oil, and the ghost of old wars. This used to be a command bunker, Jared muttered, mostly to himself. No one comes here anymore. He laid the alien woman on an old cot in the corner, then pulled off his gloves and rubbed his hands together for warmth. She looked fragile, glowing faintly under the blanket. The light from her skin painted the walls blue. He lit a small heating canister he had scavenged weeks ago. A weak orange flame flickered, filling the room with shaky light. Her breathing was shallow, uneven. Jared sat beside her, unsure what to do. He had treated human wounds before, not alien ones. He found a half-frozen water bottle in his pack and held it to her lips. Drink, he said softly. She obeyed slowly, sipping a few drops. Then her eyes opened and glowing faintly again. Her voice was weak but clearer than before. You risked your life for me. Jared looked away. You were dying.
Anyone would have done the same. She gave a faint smile.
No, not anyone. Silence filled the bunker. The wind outside roared, shaking the old metal ceiling. After a while, she spoke again. My name is Sarah, he nodded. Jared. Sarah studied his face for a long moment as if memorizing it. You were a soldier once, she said quietly. He blinked. How do you know that? The way you move. The way you listen to the air, she whispered. I saw many soldiers during the war. Jared sighed. Yeah, I was there. Fought on the southern front, thought we were saving the colony. Didn't realize we were just burning someone else's home. Sarah's eyes dimmed. You were fighting my people. He nodded. I was. Until I realized we weren't so different. For a while, neither spoke. The small flame hissed softly between them. Then Sarah shivered. Her glow faded, her skin turning pale. Jared frowned. You're freezing again. I can't hold warmth long, she whispered. My body was made for warm stars, not this cold world. He hesitated, then moved closer. Here. He wrapped the blanket tighter around both of them, pulling her gently against his chest. For a moment she went stiff. Then slowly she relaxed. Her glow brightened slightly. Jared felt a strange pulse, gentle warmth spreading between them, like life itself moving from one heart to another. You're warm, she murmured. And you're glowing. He replied quietly. A small laugh escaped her lips, soft and musical, like chimes in the wind. Jared found himself smiling for the first time in months, but the peace didn't last. A faint beep echoed through the bunker. Jared's head snapped up. A red light blinked on an old terminal near the wall. He walked over and wiped the dust off the screen. The monitor flickered to life, showing a message. Automatic system online. Unauthorized life form detected. Jared cursed under his breath. The old scanners, they still work. Can they find us? Sarah asked, fear in her voice. Maybe, Jared said. But not if I shut them down first. He grabbed a wrench from a nearby crate and pried open the power console. Sparks flew as he cut a few wires. The red light died, and the screen went dark. The noise outside grew louder, the low hum of search drones. Jared turned off the heater and motioned for Sarah to stay quiet. They both crouched low as a blue light swept past the cracks in the wall. The sound of engines hummed closer, then drifted away again. When silence returned, Sarah whispered, They're hunting me. Jared nodded. They're hunting anyone who refuses to vanish. She looked at him. You should let me go. If they find me here, you'll die too. Jared shook his head. Not happening. You're safe with me. Her eyes softened. Why do you care? He thought for a long moment before answering. Because I remember what it's like to be left behind. Outside, the wind howled again. Inside the bunker, two souls from different worlds sat close by a dying flame, listening to the sound of the storm. Sarah whispered, Your people fear us. They say Thalans can steal human warmth. Jared chuckled softly. Guess I don't have much left to steal. Sarah smiled faintly, resting her head against his shoulder. Then maybe we'll share it? Jared looked down at her, the soft glow in her skin, the fragile peace in her face, and then thought for the first time that maybe this frozen world wasn't beyond saving. But in the shadows above the bunker, a drone camera adjusted its lens and locked onto the faint heat signal deep below. The hunt wasn't over. It had only just begun. The night above the ruins was alive with machines. Metal wings cut through the dark sky, red eyes blinking through the snow. The colony's hunter drones had begun their sweep. Silent, patient, deadly. Deep underground, Jared Hale woke to the sound of static crackling through the air vents. He sat up fast, reaching for his pulse gun. A soft light shimmered beside him. Sarah, still asleep, her breath faint but steady. Then came the noise. A low hum growing closer. He froze. That sound. He remembered it from the war. The search drones used it before firing. Jared crossed the room in silence and peeked through a narrow crack in the ceiling. Above, faint blue light flickered across the snow. A patrol drone hovered just outside the old bunker. He cursed under his breath. They found the heat trail, Sarah stirred. Jared? She whispered, her voice soft and afraid. He turned to her quickly. Don't make a sound. They're right above us. She nodded, pulling the blanket around herself. Her glow dimmed as she tried to control it. The hum grew louder. Dust fell from the ceiling. A small beam of blue light swept across the room. A scanner beam had broken through the crack. Jared ducked behind an old metal crate, pulling Sarah close. The beam lingered, searching. Then it moved on. For a few seconds, silence returned. Then came a heavy thud. The door above had opened. A smaller drone, spider-like, crawled down the tunnel wall, its legs clicking on the metal. It scanned the room, its red lens turning slowly. Sarah's breathing quickened. Jared raised his gun, but the weapon had only 2 charges left. If he missed once, they were finished. The drone clicked again, extending a small claw. It was searching for body heat. Jared whispered, "Stay behind me." Before he could move, Sarah's eyes snapped open, glowing brighter than before. Her pupils turned white, her veins shining like silver threads. The air changed, warm, charged with static. The drone froze mid-scan. A faint hum came from Sarah's body, like energy building up. Jared watched in shock as a ripple of light spread from her hand, silent but powerful. The drone twitched once, then shut down completely, smoke curling from its joints. "What did you just do?" Jared whispered, stunned. Sarah looked at her hands, trembling. "I don't know, it just happened." He moved closer. "You disabled it." "I didn't mean to," she said. "When I feel fear, my body reacts. The light, it's not only for warmth, it's something more." Jared looked at the dead drone. "You just saved us," but his relief didn't last. Above them, more engines roared. He grabbed his pack. "We need to move now." They ran through the dark tunnels, their footsteps echoing faintly. The bunker was a maze of hallways and storage rooms. Jared knew some of it from old war maps, but much was collapsed or flooded. Behind them, metallic voices echoed. "Unauthorized life signs detected. Sweep the lower tunnels." Sarah stumbled once, clutching her side. Jared caught her arm and helped her up. "Stay with me." They moved through a broken corridor filled with pipes and old tech crates. The air was damp and full of rust. Then they reached a massive door with the old colony logo burned into it. Jared punched the manual code pad. The door opened with a groan, revealing another chamber, full of wrecked vehicles and dusty computers. "This was a command station," Jared said. "They used it to track troop movements during the war." Sarah looked around, her eyes glowing faintly. "It feels wrong here," he nodded. "A lot of people died in this place." Suddenly, the computers flickered to life. Blue screens lit the room. "System alert, unauthorized access." "Tracking heat signatures, damn it!" Jared shouted, slamming his fist on the console. He turned. But Sarah was staring at the glowing screens, her eyes widening. Strange symbols appeared on the display, not human language, Thalen's script. She stepped closer. "I can read this. What does it say?" Jared asked. Her voice shook as she translated. It's a distress message from before the war ended. My people tried to warn yours about something deeper under this colony, something hidden." Before Jared could ask more, the walls shook. A missile strike hit the surface above, sending dust raining down. The power flickered. "They're bombing the tunnels." Jared shouted. He grabbed her hand. Come on. They ran through the far door just as the roof behind them collapsed. Fire and dust filled the room. Jared shielded Sarah with his body as debris crashed around them. When the noise finally stopped, only silence remained, and a faint light coming from Sarah's hands. Jared coughed and looked up. The way ahead was blocked by rubble, but a small maintenance shaft led downward. Sarah looked at him, eyes full of fear. If we go deeper, there's no coming back. Jared looked up toward the burning tunnel behind them. If we stay, we're dead. She nodded slowly. He reached out his hand. Then we go together. Sarah hesitated for a second, then took his hand. The moment she did, her glow brightened again, casting long shadows against the walls. And somewhere far above in the icy sky, a command officer watched their signal vanish from the scanners and muttered, "They've gone below the grid. Send the Reapers." The hunt had just entered its next stage. The shaft led them down into darkness. Metal ladders trembled under their weight, and drops of cold water fell from pipes above. The sound of the storm faded as they climbed deeper, leaving behind the war machines, the patrols, and the broken world above. At last, Jared dropped into a hollow chamber. His flashlight flickered to life, revealing what looked like a forgotten research facility. The air was still heavy with dust and rust. Signs in both human and alien script covered the walls, a reminder of a time when humans and Thalans once worked together. Sarah followed him, her bare feet making no sound. The blue light from her skin painted soft circles on the metal floor. Her eyes were tired, but her voice was calm. "I know this place," she whispered. Jared turned, confused. "You've been here before?" "Not me," she said. "But my husband told me about it. He worked with humans here, before the war." Jared looked around. "Your husband was a scientist?" Sarah nodded. "A diplomat and an engineer. He believed we could build a new sun together." "A new sun?" Jared frowned. She smiled faintly. "It was only a dream. He said both our worlds were dying. His plan was to create an energy core that could warm entire planets. But your leaders? They wanted it as a weapon." Jared's expression hardened. "That sounds like them." Sarah sat on an old crate, her hands trembling. "When he refused to give them control, they executed him. But before he died, he hid the core and gave me a piece of it to protect." Jared stared at her. "You're saying it's still here? That the thing everyone's hunting is inside you?" Sarah lowered her head. "Not inside me, but part of me. He bonded it to my body. It can't be removed without killing me." For a moment, the only sound was dripping water. Jared rubbed his forehead. "That's why the drones tracked you. You're not just a refugee, you're a target." She looked up, tears shining faintly in her glowing eyes. "I didn't want this. I only wanted to live. But the core," it calls out. "Machines can feel it." Jared crouched beside her. "So what does it do? What makes it so important?" Sarah hesitated. "It remembers. It holds everything: war records, peace talks, secret orders, proof that both sides lied. If someone reads it, the truth will destroy the colony government and my people's high council too." Jared stared into the dim light. "You're saying the whole war was a cover-up?" She nodded slowly. "A deal that failed. A promise broken." He leaned back against the wall, silent for a long moment. "So what now? You plan to keep running forever?" Her eyes met his. "I plan to die quietly. Until you found me." He felt a strange ache in his chest. "You could still use it. Show the truth." Sarah shook her head. "I don't have the tools. The memory core is locked. Only a Thalan transmitter can open it, and those were all destroyed." Jared's gaze drifted toward the old machines. "Maybe not all." He crossed the room and brushed dust off a large console. The label read, "Thalan Human Joint Project Unit 9. The screen was cracked, but the power light still blinked faintly. He looked back at her. "If this place was part of that project, maybe the transmitter's still here." Sarah's eyes widened with hope and fear mixed together. "If it is, and if it still works, I could unlock the core. But once it activates, they will know." "They already know," Jared said quietly. "They'll never stop chasing you unless we finish this." She stood slowly, her glow brightening. "Then we finish it together," he nodded. Together. They spent the next hour searching through the lab. Dusty drawers, broken panels, shattered glass. Then Jared found a small black case under a fallen shelf. Inside it was a circular device, half human, half alien design. A pulse of blue light glowed at its center. Sarah gasped. That's it. The transmitter. Jared placed it carefully on the table. Tell me what to do. She reached out, pressing her palm to the device. The blue light expanded, spilling across the floor like water. Her voice trembled. It's linking with me. I can feel it. Suddenly, a sharp pain crossed her face. She stumbled, clutching her chest. Jared caught her. Sarah, what's happening? It's unlocking the core. Inside me. Her voice turned into a whisper. Memories. Lies? I see everything. The walls flickered with holograms. Soldiers, cities burning, leaders shaking hands over secret maps. Human and Thalen alike both smiling while millions died. Jared stared, horrified. They planned the war? Sarah nodded weakly. To control the colonies. To unite people through fear. Before he could respond, the console sparked violently. Red lights flashed. A metallic voice spoke through hidden speakers. Unauthorized activation detected. Containment units dispatched. Sarah's glow dimmed. They found us again. Jared grabbed his weapon and looked toward the corridor. Heavy footsteps echoed from above. Metal, rhythmic, getting closer. He turned back to her. Can you shut it down? She shook her head. It's too late. Once awakened, it won't stop. The walls began to hum, deep and powerful. Energy pulsed through the floor. Sarah looked at Jared, her voice breaking. You should go. He stepped closer, eyes fierce. I'm not leaving you. She touched his face with a trembling hand. Then hold on. What comes next will change everything. A blinding light filled the room, blue. Alive, growing stronger until it swallowed the shadows. Outside, the hunter drones stopped mid-flight, as if the world itself had paused to listen. When Jared opened his eyes, everything was glowing. The lab was alive. The walls pulsed with blue veins of light, machines hummed like a living heart. Dust floated in the air, frozen in beams of energy. Sarah stood in the center of it all, her eyes bright white, her voice echoing like a whisper through metal. The core is awake. Jared pushed himself up, blinking. Sarah, what did you do? Her voice was calm but distant. It is remembering. It is showing me everything that was hidden. I can see how they built the lies. Before Jared could answer, the ground trembled. A deep metallic thud echoed through the tunnels. He turned toward the doorway. Heavy boots were approaching. Stay behind me, he said, drawing his pulse gun. The door burst open. A figure stepped through the smoke, tall, armored human. His voice was cold and familiar. Stand down, Sergeant Hale. Jared froze. He knew that voice. Colonel Red. The man smiled under his scarred face. Still running, I see. Jared raised the weapon. You shouldn't be here. Red's eyes flicked towards Sarah. Neither should she. He took a slow step forward, his boots leaving heavy prints on the dusty floor. You've caused quite a problem, Hale. Stealing military property, harboring an alien, breaking peace protocols. I expected better. Jared's hand tightened on the trigger. She's not property. Red tilted his head. You always did think with your heart instead of your head. Behind Jared, Sarah whispered. He was your commander? Jared nodded slightly without turning. In the war? I thought he died, Red chuckled. Oh, I survived, Hale. Someone had to clean up after idealists like you. He walked closer, unarmed but confident. You have something that belongs to Central Command. Hand over the Thalen female in the memory core and I'll forget this ever happened. Jared didn't move. You'll kill her, Red shrugged. She's already dying. You can't save her, but you can save yourself. He pulled a metal case from his belt and tossed it onto the floor. Inside are new ration cards. Enough to buy a new life outside the colony zones. You'd never have to beg again. Jared glanced at the case. Hundreds of ration cards shimmered inside. It was more than he could earn in 10 lifetimes. Sarah watched him silently. Her eyes were dim now, her glow fading. Red's voice softened. You did your part, Hale. You showed compassion. Now it's time to be smart. Give her up. The room filled with quiet tension. Jared's heart pounded. He could walk away. He could live. But when he looked at Sarah, fragile, afraid, but still trying to protect the truth, he knew what he had to do. He lowered the gun. You're right, he said slowly. I can't fight you. Not anymore, Red smiled. Good man. Jared stepped aside, pretending to surrender. She's weak. She won't resist, just don't hurt her. Red moved past him, nodding. You made the right choice, son. But the moment Red turned his back, Jared grabbed the pulse gun again and fired. The bolt hit the wall near Red's shoulder, a warning shot. Red spun, fury in his eyes. "You fool," Jared shouted. "Run, Sarah!" She reached for the console, pressing her hand against the transmitter. The blue light exploded outward, blinding them all. The machines roared to life again. Red stumbled back, covering his eyes. "What did you do?" Sarah's voice echoed through the air, now layered with strange harmonics, almost two voices speaking as one. "You cannot bury truth with fire." The entire lab began to shake. Holograms appeared everywhere. Human and Thalen leaders, their secret meetings, the deals they made, the lives they traded. The truth streamed out like a storm of light. Jared turned to Red. "Now the world knows." Red drew his weapon. "Then neither of you will live to see it," he fired. Jared dove aside. The pulse blast tore through the console, sparks flying. Jared grabbed a fallen metal rod and swung it into Red's arm. The weapon clattered to the floor. They fought. Two soldiers, one for power, one for something better. The air filled with the smell of burnt wires and ozone. Red caught Jared by the throat, slamming him against the wall. "You think you're saving her? You're dooming everyone! That core will melt this colony down to ash." Jared gasped for breath. "Then maybe. The ash will grow something new." He headbutted Red and shoved him back into the unstable console. Energy flared. The colonel screamed as arcs of blue light swallowed him. The room shook harder. Sarah fell to her knees, her glow fading into a soft white mist. "It's done," she whispered. "The truth has left this place. Every network has seen it." Jared staggered toward her. "We have to go. This place is going to collapse." She looked up at him with weak eyes. "You saved me again." He smiled faintly, helping her stand. "No, you saved everyone." The ceiling cracked. Alarms blared. They ran through the tunnels as explosions echoed behind them. Flames chased their shadows. At the exit shaft, Jared looked back once. Red's armor lay burning in the wreckage, surrounded by the fading glow of the memory core. Sarah leaned against him, trembling. "He was right about one thing," she whispered. "The core is unstable." Jared glanced up at the flickering sky above the tunnel. "Then we find a way to control it before it destroys the world." Outside, snow fell again, quiet and white, hiding the ruins beneath. Neither of them saw the faint red light blinking in the distance. A drone camera, still watching, still sending signals to whoever waited beyond the clouds. The war wasn't over yet. The storm had changed color. What was once white snow had turned gray, full of ash and dust. The wind carried sparks, small flashes of blue light that twisted in the air like ghosts. Above the frozen horizon, something pulsed behind the clouds. The faint, living glow of the awakened core. Jared Hale trudged through the wasteland with Sarah leaning on his shoulder. Her glow was weaker now, like a dying candle. Every few steps she coughed softly, the sound lost in the roaring wind. They had been walking for hours, guided only by the flicker in the sky. The path led toward a massive shadow on the horizon, a broken tower that pierced the clouds like a metal spear. Jared stared at it. "The old orbital tower," he said, breathless. "That's where the colony sent data to the off-world stations before the war." Sarah's voice was faint. "That's where the core must connect." "It was built to reach the sky," he nodded. "Then that's where we end this." They climbed through the wreckage, old ships buried in ice, broken drones half swallowed by snow. The closer they got to the tower, the stronger the light in Sarah's veins became. She could barely stand, but she refused to stop. When they reached the tower gates, Jared kicked away the frozen debris and forced the rusted doors open. Inside, the air was thick with static. Blue light ran through the walls like rivers of electricity. Sarah touched the metal and whispered, "It's alive. The tower still breathes." They made their way through winding staircases and dark corridors until they reached the core chamber, a vast room filled with floating dust, humming machines, and one enormous crystal device in the center. The same blue energy that flowed through Sarah's skin pulsed inside it. Jared looked around in awe. "So this is where your people tried to save the world?" Sarah nodded weakly. "Yes, but they never finished. The system needs a heart to power it, a living source." He frowned. "You mean a person?" Her silence was the answer. Jared shook his head. "No, there has to be another way." Sarah stepped closer to the core, her face glowing brighter. "There isn't. The Thalen heart connects energy and emotion. It can heal a world, but it must take life to do it. He caught her wrist gently. "You're not doing this," she smiled sadly. "Jared, when you gave me your last ration card, you gave me your warmth. You gave me hope. Now I can give you something back." He shook his head, his voice breaking. "You don't have to die to save us." "I do," she whispered. "Because I'm the key." She placed her hand on the crystal and light bloomed around her. The machines hummed louder, the air vibrating like thunder. Jared tried to pull her away, but her body had already merged with the light. Her voice echoed soft but everywhere. "Don't be afraid." The walls shook. Lightning arched through the ceiling, striking the metal spire above the tower. The storm outside turned white-hot, spinning faster, pulling the clouds into a massive spiral. Jared shielded his eyes. "Sarah!" he shouted. Through the blinding light, he saw her silhouette, hair flowing upward like silver fire, her eyes glowing with a calm, almost peaceful power. The energy surrounded her, and for a moment she looked like the goddess of the storm itself. Then she spoke one last time. "You gave me your last ration. Let me give you your last sunrise." The light exploded. Jared was thrown backward. The floor cracked beneath him. When the noise faded, there was only silence, heavy and deep, like the world had stopped breathing. He opened his eyes slowly. The tower was quiet now. The machines were still. The crystal stood empty and its glow gone. Sarah was nowhere to be seen. He stumbled to his feet. "Sarah?" His voice echoed through the chamber. No answer. Then, outside the shattered window, he saw something impossible. The storm clouds were breaking apart. Golden light poured through the cracks. For the first time in years, sunlight touched the colony again. The snow no longer looked dead and gray. It shimmered, alive, like diamonds scattered across the world. Jared stepped outside. The cold air hit his face, but it didn't bite like before. It was gentle, almost warm. In the snow before him lay a small glowing crystal, faintly pulsing with blue light. He knelt down and picked it up carefully. Inside the crystal, for just a second, he saw her face, smiling, peaceful. A tear rolled down his cheek. "You did it," he whispered. "You saved us." He looked toward the horizon where the light was spreading, melting ice and waking rivers. The storm that once devoured everything was gone. The sky was alive again, but high above, the tower's beacon flickered once more. A last burst of blue light that shot into space, carrying data far beyond the planet. Somewhere out there, the truth was traveling, about the war, the lies, and the woman who gave her life to bring warmth back to a frozen world. Jared stood alone beneath the rising sun. The wind touched his face softly, and for the first time, it didn't feel cruel. He whispered to the empty air. "You're home now, Sarah." The snow began to melt around his boots, revealing the green tips of grass beneath. And as the light grew stronger, the world began to heal. Morning had a sound again. It was not the scream of wind or the hum of drones. It was the whisper of melting snow, the slow drip of water sliding off broken steel, the song of a planet breathing after years of silence. Jared Hale stood on a ridge above the valley. The sun was climbing, golden and real. For the first time in his memory, he could feel its warmth on his face. The sky, once heavy and gray, now glowed soft orange. Below him, the frozen city was changing. Ice cracked, rooftops gleamed, and rivers began to move. Steam rose from the streets where heat touched the ground. He closed his eyes, holding the small crystal in his hand, the one that had once been part of Sarah. It pulsed gently. "Like a heartbeat, you did it," he whispered. "You really did." He had buried her beneath the tower under the first rays of sunlight. No grave marker, no stone, only snow melting into clear water. She would have liked that. She always said warmth was life. Now the world she had saved was waking up. Jared looked down the hill. Survivors were gathering in the distance. Humans, scavengers, even a few alien refugees. The war had taken everything from them, but now they stood side by side, faces turned toward the sun as if they couldn't believe it was real. He walked toward them slowly. His coat was torn, his hands scarred, but his eyes were calm. When people saw him, they whispered his name. Word had already spread. The soldier who saved the alien, the man who brought back the light. He didn't feel like a hero. He felt like someone who had simply refused to walk away. A small girl ran up to him, her cheeks pink from the cold. "Mister, is it true? The storm is gone for good?" Jared smiled faintly. "It's gone. The sky belongs to you now." She looked at the crystal in his hand. "Is that magic?" He shook his head gently. No, it's memory. The girl frowned in confusion. Memory? He crouched so they were eye level. It remembers someone who gave everything to make this morning possible. The girl nodded slowly, though she didn't fully understand. She must have been kind. She was, Jared said softly. As the crowd grew, a group of colony officers appeared, their armor scratched and dirty. They looked lost, their weapons hanging loose at their sides. One of them, a young officer with tired eyes, stepped forward. Are you Jared Hale? He nodded. The officer saluted awkwardly. Central Command is gone. The towers stopped transmitting. People are asking what happens now. Jared looked at the city again, no leaders, no drones, no rules left to fear. Just people, alive and uncertain. What happens now, he said slowly, is we build again. Together this time, the officer hesitated. You mean, with the Thalen refugees? Yes, Jared said firmly. Sarah died so this planet could live. We honor her by making sure no one else has to. The officer lowered his eyes. Understood. Jared turned to the people around him. The world gave us one more chance. Don't waste it. The crowd nodded, some crying quietly. Others just looked up at the sunrise, letting the warmth touch their faces like it was a dream come true. Hours passed. The sun climbed higher, melting years of ice in a single day. Rivers formed where streets once lay. Birds, real, living birds, began to return from somewhere far away. Jared walked alone through the thawing ruins, past buildings that were now dripping with life. He reached the base of the orbital tower where the ground was wet and soft. There, where Sarah had vanished, small green sprouts were breaking through the soil. Tiny leaves, life reborn from the frozen ground. He knelt and placed the crystal gently between them. You said home was with me, he whispered. But it's really here, isn't it? In the world you saved. The crystal flickered once, glowing brighter, and then settled into the earth like it had found peace. He sat there for a long time, listening to the sound of running water and the gentle rustle of new wind. For the first time, he didn't feel cold. Behind him, the people were building fires, sharing food, and talking without fear. Some laughed, some sang. The sound carried through the valley like hope returning. Jared stood slowly and looked toward the horizon. The sun was fully risen now, its golden light stretching across the land. He whispered to the morning, You're not gone. Sarah, you're everywhere. The breeze brushed against his face and warm, almost human, as if answering him. He smiled faintly, turned toward the valley and started walking. His steps were steady, his heart lighter than it had been in years. Behind him, the first green meadow of the New World shimmered beneath the last bits of melting ice, and in the bright sky above, where once there were only storm clouds, a new dawn spread across the heavens, the first true sunrise of a healed planet. He had given his last ration for love. She had given her life for hope. Together they gave humanity a new beginning.